It was a celebration of her life, as New Yorkers, particularly African Americans from Harlem, felt a kinship and understanding of the adversity that Mam Winnie faced and overcame.
Whenever she traveled here, it was more than just a visiting. It was a homecoming. And she knew that the people of Harlem so deeply understood the struggle for freedom, for justice, and for equality. She drew strength from your strength, your hope, your energy, your experiences, and your actions. So remembering Mama Winnie today, we recognize the critical role that you played in her life and on one of the greatest struggles of humanity. Mama Winnie's connection with Harlem showed that community mobilization was not just about what happened in Soweto. It was about every community, everywhere.
Mam Winnie's longtime friend and former personal assistant brought a very personal perspective to proceedings here.
Winnie was a showstopper. You just could not just keep walking straight. You had to turn. Her beauty, her stature, her figure, her build, and her walk. And it was just unbelievable. Wherever she went, she was a showstopper.
As has been confirmed on countless occasions, Mam Winnie stuck to her roots and her people.
Winnie, a builder of dreams, wanting to make it better than yesterday for all. Listening to people with her ears, Winnie, giving hope when hope was hard to find, and helping people overcome their sense of powerlessness. Rainbows are born of thunderstorms, and Winnie was both.
The venue of the memorial was a Baptist church originally started by freed African American slaves in the early 1800s, and music fitting of a life well lived. Pastor Calvin Otis Butts III has been with the church since 1972.
The truth be told, more was said about the fierceness and the courage and the tenacity of Winnie Mandela than was said about Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was incarcerated. Nelson Mandela was incarcerated. He was in jail. He was locked up. The struggle on the street was continued by Winnie Mandela. Winnie Mandela, they speak of her, those who would try to discredit this great sister, as being one who led people in South Africa in dangerous ways. I said the young men outside of the home carried guns. I went back to look. Sojourner Truth carried a gun. Harriet Tubman carried a gun. Ida B. Wells carried a gun. And some of you in here tonight got guns. These sisters were not crazy. They understood that the nature of the struggle meant that somebody, you know my old expression, nobody likes to fight, but somebody better know how. And Winnie Mandela knew how.
This South African businessman spoke on behalf of South Africa's former Deputy President, Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, who is travelling abroad on UN business.
She defied the system that oppressed her. She confronted it head-on at every turn possible. She was a fighter, risking her life with determination to bring rights and freedoms to replace violence and war. She inspired freedom fighters everywhere. And I had the privilege of traveling with her in the southern United States. That's when I became aware of her stature in the African American community that we hadn't quite understood as the African National Congress at the time.
The South African government also used the occasion to thank Americans for their solidarity over the decades, while describing Mam Winnie as the epitome of resistance against injustice.
She became a hero of our struggle in her own right. In 1996, she said, and I quote, "I am the product of the masses, of my country, and I'm the product of my enemy." She took on the oppressive apartheid regime at an enormous personal cost, dedicating her life to the betterment of South Africa, and worked towards this realization until her passing. She campaigned tirelessly for the release of Nelson Mandela, then jailed, ensuring that his memory was kept alive during his many, many years in Robben Island. As a nation, Mama Winnie paved the way path to follow. As such, it is our shared duty and responsibility to continue to build a legacy based on the principles of equality, democracy, human rights, and selflessness.
A second memorial in the Big Apple will be held at the United Nations General Assembly later Friday. Sherman Bryce-Pease, SABC News, Harlem, New York.